We are going to jump and sound. You cannot cross the border, cause we are clan body. You will come, we kill you already, and you are the followers. There is no form of threat to we, cause when it comes to lyrics, we have it. So come!
Boom, bye bye to a soundboy head. Growing up, promoting a nasty man, the mafia dead. Giving him two dead to him chin. Enemy, your friend, fake the funk, I put the junk to an end. Now who the rude boy want test the OG? I find his family to identify he. I bet you never thought I bust. Surprise, I'm a 45 oak head just like me dreads.
Test the champion sound, you're getting bucked down. Recognize the boot camp, click out of Bucktown. Thirsty little bastard, always blasted from the sacks of chocolate of Mother Gaston. You say you're number one wicked selector. I say you and I wet ya. Keep the bull for a pull, this your trigger. Cause you don't wanna test me when I'm tipsy off the liquor like the punk they call my girl. Got his feelings hurt. Showed his true colors, had to yank up his skirt. Now he's in misery, trying to cop a plea. To him head from gun clapper number 3. See, lick off a shot, you know, rider. Lick a shot, and up on fire.
Now everybody wanna be down, gaga, and all around New York niggas be talking, but we be stalking. In the darks when the dog starts barking, but in the day we weary of where you be walking.
Some very along with no take down faithful. They say about camel click and rust and know you get done missing. Some very along with no take down faithful. They say black card scavenger rust and know you getting done missing. Some very along with no take down faithful. If you test me from West rust and know you getting done missing.
Me nah sex, me rough like the wicked youth in me that
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Just about Sabbath. Just about the Sabbath. Getting it together and everything. Yeah, I had a nice discussion last night with this guy called Raven is Bird. You know, it was pretty good. You know, he had his own perspective of things, and I just interviewed him more likely, and I said a little bit of y'all only side of it. It was kind of good, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna put him down. He didn't put me down. I think what we gotta do though is keep the message going. You know, we gotta start waking our people up so we can get this thing back into the hands of the Most High. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
One of the things, I can see the title of this, and we're probably not gonna get to the full packages of this, but it's called the Daughters of Zion. Two ways. The Daughters of Zion, meaning our physical daughters, and the Daughters of Zion, us daughters. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and then we probably talk about wives, concubines, and harlots. Not no particular order. You know, it depends on tonight. Because like I said, we'll do this in 2 parts. It's going to be kind of ugly. It might be ugly tomorrow night. It might be ugly tonight. I don't know. But you know, when you start dealing with wives and concubines and harlots, you know, they don't take that too lightly. But this is one of the ones where, guess what? You got to get it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right.
Exactly.
Let me put something on the screen real quick. All right. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not, but I'll let the audience see it. And go from there. All right. It says, what does the Bible say about daughters of Zion? Daughters of Zion. As a representation of the people of Israel, that's one way. The daughters of Zion is described in several different situations, like in 2 Kings 19:21. A people confident in the deliverance of their God. When Assyria threatened the Jerusalem, King Hezekiah went to the Most High. You know what he did. We know what he did. No doubting about that. All right?
Yeah.
Probably read that verse. A couple of the verses, right?
You said what? 2 Kings.
2 Kings. Yep. 2 Kings, the 19th chapter. We're gonna start at the 21st verse. And I'm going to probably add, like I got up here, the 21st and the 22nd. I usually went a little bit more context in it. Obviously, we all know the Hezekiah story anyway. Obviously, Christianity, Hebrew Christianity, always try to deny that and go that other route. That New Testament character try to take away Hezekiah's glory. But every time they do it, you usually kick them in their their guts for it. All right, let me start it off. This is the word that the Lord has spoken about him. About him. We got to look at that. About him. The virgin, daughter of Zion, has despised you and has mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head at you. Sounds typical as how most of these sassy females are too. Am I correct? Read it again. This is the word that the Lord has spoken about him. We know the him. The virgin daughter of Zion has despised you and has mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head at you. Shake my head on you. Blah, 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 blah. Typical. All right. What's funny though, it says the virgin daughter. Meaning, I guess, the not yet, what you say, gotten themselves into, how would I say, the adulterous situation, but they're like, how would I say it? Not like your baby daughter, like your little, how fathers with their daughters are, right? Their daughters is very special. This is like your right before she's grown, before she gets married type of daughter. It's just something like that type of allegory. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing like how children of Israel is when they become mature. You know what I mean? They start to get their own, how would I say it, their own little routine, their own way. All right. Let me go to that 22nd. Whom have you insulted and blasphemed? And upon whom have you raised your voice? Question mark. You know how I talk back. You know what I mean? Talk back. And you have lifted your eyes on high against the Holy One of Israel. That's like they like, you know how the females do. Same thing like Israel did. Once they get to a certain point, all that most high stuff kind of goes right out the window. You know what I mean? But we try to raise our. And this goes with the sons too. You know what I mean? It goes with the sons too. So they get that point and they start looking at like, I don't want to hear that mess. You know what I'm saying? But with this, we can get two things. We're getting two allegories, right? You're getting the one of the daughters themselves, meaning like the seed of Israel. The age accountability. You know what I mean? Like you get to that point, when your kids get to that point where they can be accounted for what they do right, do wrong. It's around that area, and that goes both ways. It goes with our physical daughters, and it goes with our physical seed of Israel. I mean, if you want to give me a little input of experience, you can tell me to say something too. But they should know better. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you want to give an example, give an example. You know what I mean? The audience,
You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much set in stone, you know what I'm saying, talking about, a rebellious child.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a rebellious child.
Yep, rebellious child. Mm-hmm. Exactly. They don't want to like listen to the, I guess, how would you say it? Not take orders, but like the britches is a little bit too big for them, I guess. You know how it goes. But that's Israel too. That's just how we are too. You can tell them, hey, do this, do that. Try to guide them, and then what they do, they look at you like you crazy. This is how they do. All right, let's talk about. Before we get deep, let's talk about I don't know if you got any daughter. I don't have any. I got a granddaughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got two daughters, but they toddlers.
Yeah. Well, at the point, this is the key point. It's a cool key point. it's like it's true what they say about little girls and their daddies, right? They
Mm-hmm.
like you give them that extra special treatment. You probably go to bat for your daughter. You know what I'm saying? Something happens, you probably break a guy's neck. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Lucky I don't have a daughter. I have a granddaughter, but the same setup. You treat them a little bit more like things ain't right, and then as they get older, they start getting little boyfriends. Oh man, and that boyfriend ain't acting right. It's like the worst thing, right? Daddy get involved. That's how it goes. And this is funny because usually your daughter get to a point where she is, at the age of getting married, right? You're not gonna want your daughter to be marrying a bum or some guy that ain't right. You know what I mean? Especially where we coming from, they gotta be almost on the same level of us as the Most High, right? You ain't gonna let her get involved with some, they call it a heathen, right? All right. Let's start off with the simple thing. Story of Rachel and Leah. Simple. That's kind of simple. Jacob. Jacob begins working for Laban. This Laban's younger daughter, Rachel, and he falls in love with her, right? After a certain point, Jacob, Laban asked Jacob what his wages would be, and he noticed that Jacob was in love with Rachel, and he said to Laban, I'll work for how many years? Like 7 years or whatever, and he would return for that daughter, Rachel, and she was the younger. I mean, that would be Genesis 29. Let me pull that up on the screen. Genesis chapter 29. Can you say it?
Yeah, you said Genesis chapter 29.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably reading it from the Tanakh. I started to do more Tanakh now because it gives us more clarity. But anyway, I'll read a little bit of it and I'm going to stop at a certain point. Now Jacob lifted his feet and he went to the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And behold, 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it, because from what well they would water the flocks. And a huge rock was upon the mouth of the well. All right. And on the flocks would gather there, and all the flocks would gather there, and they would roll the rock off the mouth of the well and water the sheep. And then they would return the rock onto the mouth of the well to its place. I guess that was more like to cover the interest so that protect the well, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. All right. And Jacob said to them, my brothers, where are you from? ? And they said, we are from Haran. And he said to them, do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him. All right. And he said to them, are things going well with him? ? And they said, things are going well. And behold, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. I guess you can say that Rachel, probably gonna look good to Jacob when he sees her. All right. And he said, the day is yet long. It is not time to take in the livestock, water the sheep, and go pasture. And they said, we cannot do that until all the flocks are gathered together, and they'll roll the rock off the mouth of the well, and we shall then water the sheep. Yeah, that's exactly what that was. They roll the rock off, uncover the well that can get, fresh water, et cetera, et cetera. That's a very containment way, right? Even back then, kept things clean. All right. While he was still talking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. All right. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, keyword. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob drew near and rolled the rock off the mouth of the well, and he watered the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and he raised his voice and wept. Well, I assume that he wept because he seeing some of his family, right? Which is weird. Now, you know that this is his mother's brother, which will make that his uncle, right? His uncle.
Yep.
And obviously Rachel would be his cousin. How we would say it, his first cousin.
Yeah, his first cousin.
First cousin, which is in modern day time, we would look upon that as I don't know about that. Right? I don't know about that. But in all honesty, I guess you can say it's kind of keeping it in the family, or it's not going outside of his family, right? His family, keep it in the family, keeping it in the same tribe. So that's one of the clues to, I guess, how we look at certain things of how good marriages go, or whatever. Well, let's get in a little deeper. He, like it says, he kissed Rachel and he raised his voice and he wept. I guess he wept because it's in family. All right. All right. Go to verse 12. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. So it was like, actually, it wasn't even a matter of like they knew this, such and such, like that. And this was like the norm too. This cousin thing, kissing cousins, like the norm. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
All right. And now it came to pass when Laban heard the report of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran towards him. And he embraced him and he kissed him. And he brought him into his house. He told Laban all these happenings. And Laban said to him, indeed, you are my bone and my flesh. Oh, that's a reiteration of it, saying that you are family. You are part of the tribe, part of the syncopation of the thing. All right.
Yep.
And so he stayed with him a full month. Right? And Laban said to Jacob, because you are my kinsman, should you work for my garages for, I guess, how that word would mean, my thanks. Tell me what your wages shall be. Right? Now, this is the good part. Now, Laban, right, he had two daughters. Right? The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. So now we got some context. Leah is the older, and Rachel is the younger. All right, and obviously Jacob, his eyes is on the younger, so you kind of know what's going to happen here. All right. Leah's eyes were tender, but Rachel had beautiful features and a beautiful complexion. All right. And Jacob loved Rachel, and he said, I will work for you 7 years. 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. All right. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than I should give her to another man. Stay with me. You see how that works?
And Laban said, it is better I give her to you than I should give another man. Stay with me. So Jacob, for Rachel, 7 years. But they appeared to him like a few days because of his love for her. And Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my days are completed, that I might come to her. So Laban gathered all the people of the place, and he made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that Laban took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and he came to her. And Laban gave Zebulun his maidservant to his daughter Leah as a maidservant.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass in the morning, behold, she was Leah. So he said to Leah, what is this that you have done to me? I did not work with you for Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you deceived me? And Laban said, it is not done so in our place to give the younger one before the firstborn.
All right, pause for a second. Pause for a second. Pause for a second. I know I was away for a minute. I had to take care of something on the other side. Now, when I left off, right, I think I was at this point where I was saying, now you see what's going on here. Now you say you're the father. You got two daughters, right? All
Yeah.
right. You got two daughters. You got a younger one. You got an older one. Here I am, cousin or whatever, just a guy, just a guy that's going to probably do for the interest of you. You know, I'm a good dude, so you have no problem with me. So, you know, I happen to like your younger daughter. Now you making a decision to instead, you know, giving me your older daughter, and you have good reason, right? You have good reason because you want to make sure that even your older daughter gets a chance to, I guess, multiply and see also, right? Or either make sure that she's not like left out of the month, how I would say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're making a decision. This is the father making that type of decision. The father is kind of being involved in the giving away of his daughter. You know what I mean? Giving away of his daughter. He's making sure things are right. You know, obviously, you make sure that the guy that's, you know, is being choosing he's right also. All right. But this is what he's doing. He gave away the older first. Now, obviously, we know what's going to happen in the long run. He's going to end up giving both of them to him. We will get like what you call a sister wives setup.
And, all right. All right. I was at 26, and Laban said, it is not done. So in our place to give the younger before the firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
Complete the wedding week of this one.
Mm-hmm.
And we will give you this one too for the work that you will render me for another 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Now that's dynamic in exactly what he's saying. You know what I mean? So he's actually giving him both daughters, right?
Yep.
Both daughters. And he's actually doing it for his daughters more than he is actually doing it for him. It's just that he's working it out for him. Now, how would you be in that situation if that came along? Well, you probably say to yourself, man, what the hell is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, I like Rachel. What's going on here? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's got to be some type of balance in the situation too. Now, not saying that you can't possibly take care of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying that you can't treat them both uh, fairly, but you automatically see that who he wanted first, he wanted Rachel. He wanted Rachel. Leah is coming in as obviously the father's making sure to take the preferences for the older daughter. All right. All right. Well, where did you leave for, Fat? 28?
Yeah, I'm on 28. And Jacob did so, and he completed the week of this one, and he gave his daughter Rachel to him as a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, but you know what I noticed, right? They 27 and 28 is comparing 7 years
Mm-hmm.
to 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like that's like you know what I'm saying, that's like a similar reference to Deuteronomy 16:9.
If you want to pull that out, pull that out. Read it.
D-
Read it.
Dealing with the dealing with the crops.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Exact on the money.
Deuteronomy 16:9, where it states in verse 9 in the 16th chapter of Deuteronomy, you should count 7 weeks for yourself from the time the sickle is first put to the standing crop, and you shall begin to count 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So 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 and so we seeing that in verse 27 and in verse 28, because when we read it said, complete the wedding week of this one, and we will give you this one too for the work that you will render for another 7 years. And then we go to verse 28. And Jacob did so, and he completed the week of this one. And he gave his daughter Rachel to him as a wife.
Right, and that means we know exactly what kind of work that he was actually doing also.
Yup.
It's tying it in with Hebrew culture, Hebrew heritage, or I should say Israelite custom. That's point blank. Can't be changed. It's the custom of the situation. But you got that out of it. You got the fact that this was like a close keeping it in the family type of thing also. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not looked upon as weird as the modern world will look at it as weird. You know, like we could say having multiple wives, if we could do that, where we at in this we call this Babylon.
Man, we'll have to go to the continent of Africa to, do that.
Mm-hmm. And in most cases, I guarantee you, it wouldn't be under that type of thing. We'd probably be breaking all kind of laws, and I ain't talking about the government laws. I'm talking about like the laws of the heritage of Israel doing, because we would probably be picking wives from different, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Not actually keeping it in the tribe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's where problems go ahead.
Yeah, and the whole thing against multiple wives is because just to keep our population under control.
Bing.
Because when the so-called white man, he have his multiple wives, right?
Mm-hmm.
He get a show explaining how he keep up with his wives, and he's not, demonized for it, but we will.
That's right.
Because of the stigma they put upon us.
They even start calling our wives wenches or wench. You know what I mean? You know, they were
and
doing the same
to be
thing
honest with you, most of the women are too immature to even deal with their husband having another wife. For the simple fact, I was talking to my neighbor. He's from Jamaica, and he tells me all the time. He said the women in Jamaica are different from the women here, because he said the women here are so westernized, and sometimes he feel for his own, he feel for he in constant disbelief on how women from Jamaica, they come here and they get tricked into believing what America, you know what I'm saying, is teaching based off of relationship. is is correct. You know what I'm saying? And we all know monogamy
Hmm.
is not the way to true love, because if monogamy truly worked, then we wouldn't be seeing 85-90% of marriages fail.
Shattered. Yep, yep, yep. You got to remember too. We got the they call it the court system, but it's actually the chaos system because they love chaos. So what greater way to create chaos is to give them a way. Uh, just you watch all the reality TV shows, the foolishness that goes on with these. I mean, it's like so stupid. A lot of people they put their wives' business in the street or their husband's business in the street, but now it's on TV. You know what I mean? And they're making that the norm. And then, like I said, the court system or the chaos system is like right there for it. You can get married tomorrow, right? 10 weeks later, without any reason, divorce. Well, so I don't want her no more. Or sometimes it's the other way around. The husband is the one getting divorced
And
from the wife.
and they corrected uh uh and they corrupted marriage.
Mm-hmm.
They
Exactly.
corrupted the whole marriage. They corrupted the whole marriage scene where I see where they tried to keep it biblical, meaning like, yeah, if you divorce your wife, you still take care of her, but it's not scriptural.
Right. It's not scriptural.
because 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 we see up in the scripture, you know what I'm saying, when once a wife is divorced, she is divorced. That means she out to go marry another man, and her next husband is to take care of her. Where
Correct.
up in the scriptures, if the man decides that he wants another wife,
Mm-hmm.
that he is to continue taking care of his first wife, because you
Right.
don't see it, like when it talks about that, it don't say, oh, if you divorce your wife, you still gotta take care of her. No, if you know what I'm saying, take on another wife.
Mm-hmm. Give her a bill of divorce, and obviously give her whatever the inheritance that she is entitled to, and she's on her way. Of course, the marriage has to be something that is by the Most High's way of even for going for a bill of
Hmm.
divorcement anyway. But
And yeah, and but like, you know what I'm saying, but with the system though, with the divorce, right, and the whole heritage and everything, right, because we haven't been taught properly on how to store,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to leave an heritage. So they taking a twist that, oh, you gonna pay this for the rest of her life or whatever, and instead of teaching people, all right, boom, you accumulate this amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want this wife no more. You give her a bill of divorce. You give her her heritage, or all right, you still want your wife. You don't want to divorce her, but you want another wife. So guess what? You know what I'm saying. You're basically doing double duty or whatever by taking care of more than one, because that first wife, her wifely duties is not diminished, meaning, like, you know what I'm saying, she's still up in the house, she's still taking care of her, she's still your wife. You just have, you know what I'm saying, you just taking on probably maybe two or three more,
Mm-hmm.
if you got it like that.
You got it like that, right? You got it like that.
Yeah.
That's the
All
thing.
right,
You got
so
it like that.
all right, 29. And Laban gave his daughter Rachel, man his maidservant, Belial,
Or
for a
maybe
maidservant. And
concubine.
he came also to Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, w- and he worked with him yet another 7 years.
Stop for a second. Stop. We talking. We talking. Rachel, which she got Leah first. That's 7 years, right?
Hmm.
Then you're talking what? Another, 7 for that the other one, right? That's 14.
Yep.
And now he's getting a concubine, or what we call it, a maidservant. That's 21 years. Man, that's a lot of work. A lot of work. And he's got to take care of
And
them,
the
right?
yes, sir.
Mm,
All right, verse 31. And the Lord saw that Leah was hated, so he opened up her womb. But Rachel was barren, and
mm,
Leah conceived and bore a son. She named him Reuben,
mm-hmm.
for she said, because the Lord has seen my affliction, for now my husband will love me.
Now, pause on that. Pause on that. Pause on that. Pause on that real quick, real quick. You know, sometimes I would say relationships get even deeper when a child is involved, right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
with the female, she thinks, "Oh, now this guy, he really," she feels loved more because she's having a child from the guy. And sometimes it's the same thing for the guy too. He feels proud. You know what I mean? So obviously, that kind of affliction of not being able to have a child, it plays a role. You know, I don't know why it's like hand in hand, but that's just the way the nature of the thing works. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Mm.
sir.
All right, let me read 33. And she conceived again, all right, and bore a son. And she said, "Since the Lord has heard that I am hated, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. So she got two out of the deal. All right. And she conceived again and bore a son. And she said, "Now this time my husband will be attached, attached to me, for I have borne him three sons." Therefore he named him Levi. Now that's what you would say in the modern world. That is attached, right? Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much how would we say it in the modern world if there was a situation that came up and we just said, "I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do," they would say it's cheaper to keep them, right? Well,
Yo, and but like you know what I'm saying, what I noticed is like, you know what I'm saying, when the scriptures say that she was hated, you know what I'm saying, like it wasn't that, oh, he didn't like her or whatever. It's just
mm-hmm.
that he loved Rachel more and probably,
Give them more attention.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Give them more attention. Yeah, and obviously he gave her more attention, more, I guess, sex towards her, and less, less loving towards the other. But obviously, somewhere along the line, it reflected back in her. You know what I mean? Having children. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta think now. Now, what's going on Rachel's side? Because when that verse 31, it said, "And the Lord saw that Leah was hated, so she opened her womb, but Rachel was barren." Rachel was barren. Rachel didn't have any kids, so you gotta know what's going on in her mind now. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. I want some babies too. You know what I mean? I want some
Yes,
babies
sir.
too. That this thing is like it seems like it's reversing. I guess like Leah is saying now she knows that her husband is attached to her. You know, I wonder what's going on the other side with Rachel. All right. And let me say it here again. And she conceived again and bore a son. And she said, "This time I will thank the Lord." Therefore she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing. So he's got four going on here. Four. All right. And Rachel just as barren as can be. I wonder in her mind, she probably saying, "Wow, my husband don't love me. The Most High is not doing me right." You know what I mean? You can see the bickering get ready to come on. You can see it coming on. But you get the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could come back on that tomorrow, which is who's getting deep in that. I'm going to go to the next part. We're going to talk about the harlot, the famous harlot. All right. You know, we can use our version of a harlot, and we can use the biblical version of a harlot. You know, My version of a harlot is like just exactly what they would say is a hooker, prostitute, fast pants, basically a whore. You know what I mean? Someone that has not really that much self-esteem, it can go from one guy to the next guy, the next guy, the next guy, and come to me. That's my version of a harlot. You know what I mean? The way the definition of it says a person who has sex with someone in exchange for money. That makes them a prostitute. That's a harlot. It don't have to necessarily be always money. It could be some for favoritism. That's a harlot. You know what I mean? It might be for a car. It's still a harlot. A TV, a harlot. Crackheads, harlot. You know what I'm saying? Give me your version. What you would say?
Man, pretty much agree with you on that on that part.
Mm-hmm. That's dynamic, and that's what it is. Let me go to a verse. Leviticus 19:29. This is a key thing, and also would say a law or an ordinance too. Leviticus 19:29. Do not profane your daughter by making her a harlot, so that the land will not fall to harlotry and the land become full of lewdness. You the pop.
And that's Leviticus.
Leviticus 19:29 verse. You know how a harlot would roll around in our time. You got one of those ones that look at that guy, and you know how that spreads. Such and such. You know what? She's fast in the past. Oh yeah, sitting over here. Oh yeah. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. That's what a harlot is. You can look at that. The Most High did not like that for that very reason. Because what does it do? It causes other things bad within itself. And now let's put that into that's the physical woman. Let's look at that as a nation being a harlot. Nation. We start going off with these other gods,
And
etc., etc. You know how it go.
and a direct precept to what is it, Leviticus? You said what, Leviticus 19:29
Mm-hmm.
is Jeremiah. Hold on, where? Yeah, Jeremiah 3:2,
Mm-hmm.
where it states, "Lift up your eyes upon the revolutes and see where you have not been lain with by the roads. You sat for them like a Arab in the desert, and you defiled the land with harlotries and with your evils."
Yep. That's it. The definition is definitely the same like the physical female harlot. That's the same precept, everything all the way around. Same way all the way around.
And to give a little context to Jeremiah 3:2, I'm gonna read verse 1. I have to say, if a man sends away his wife and she goes away from him and marries another man, may he return to her again? Will not the land become defiled? But you have played the harlot with many lovers.
Okay.
Yet you return to me, say the Lord.
Right. Well, we're gonna touch on that. That's Jeremiah 3, right? We're gonna touch on that because I can see some meat in that whole chapter. We're gonna touch on that. Let me finish this out and then let's go there. We'll go back on that. Do not profane your daughter. I'm gonna give a definition of profane. That means, all right, you got two entries of that: to treat something sacred with abuse, irreverence, or contempt, desecrate. That is a no. A father should not do that with his daughter, correct? He should make sure he's not turning his daughter over to those type of guys, or especially like in getting married. They shouldn't do that. That should be like an absolute no in his mind. You know, when you like we was talking about, you got little daughters, little babies now. You ain't gonna play that later on. You know what I mean?
at all.
Not at all. No, not at all. Right?
Neither or neither, like, you know what I'm saying, like defiling your daughter by making her play the harlot, like, you know, like whoring your daughter out, like pimping her out.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I hear so many stories of dudes actually doing that, like, yeah, like do the pimp and everything, and the dude's so morally corrupt, he don't care. That's his daughter. He look at, oh, all right, that's another female that can make me money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
End up sexually abusing his daughter and selling her body on the streets.
That's I think Michael Jackson before he died, he had a song out like that. A 12-year-old. Something like that similar. But yes, that's exactly indeed what's going on. Now that don't necessarily always limit itself to be from the father. It could be also the brother. You know what I mean? Does that. The sister. It could also
Yep.
be the like you said, the pimp. The pimp. The pimp. You know, pimping is an ancient thing, right? That's an ancient thing. It's not something new. You know, a lot of you know, dudes they get a woman in a case scenario where she's at her lowest self esteem, and he does what? He takes advantages of her in all different type of ways, you know, and he pimps her out there, you know, turning her to a harlot or turning her out. You know what I mean? And then you got the what do you call them? The madams. The madams do it too. They do it
Yep.
too. They do it too. You know, but you know that's like most high they never go for something like that at all ever. Period. But you know what? This is how we do when you did with these messed up nations. That this is how they do. You know what I mean? All right. So right first to definition to debase by wrong or unworthy or vulgar use. Yes, you don't need to be not with your daughter. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And another example is you know what I'm saying, a person who hands over his unmarried daughter to have relations.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? What other yeah, that's basically what I was saying, like, you know, like basically just, you know, pimping your daughter out, like, you know, having relations with other men.
What about the situations like like foreign like how like foreigners come over here, they do that too, so they can get, I guess, interest in the country or some type of inheritance or something like that. They do that too. They do that too. Exchange their daughter for some type of, you know what I mean? They do that. They do
But
that too.
they yeah, like, you know, like for goats or cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same. That's the same as prostitution.
Same as prostitution. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what I'm saying. Like, all right, like just say you the pimp, right? And you have your daughter or you have a woman, right? You're giving her body away for an exchange for something.
Mm-hmm. So I've said it's not always
And
money. Money is just one path. It's
yeah,
other paths.
but in this case, you know what I'm saying. You don't get that woman back. The man keeps that woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. Let me read this. Profane. That was says not concerned with religion or religious purpose. Never send your daughter to especially to marry a guy that's not with your same bringing up. That's an absolute no. That's like, dude, you basically just, that's not going to be your daughter anymore. Number one, and number two, you basically just, it's like you know how like sacrificing your daughter, actually. To be honest with you, because you know what I mean. So
Yes, sir.
that's absolutely always the father should be involved with who his daughter is to be given to, and to make sure that she's gonna be right. You know what I mean? All right, not holy because of unsecrated, impure, or defiled, unsanctified. A lot of these guys out here, these cats ain't worth anything. You know what I mean? These cats are probably just as bad as some of the harlots. You know what I mean? Especially in this world, right? You got all this, I call it fruitiness going on. Guys sleeping with
Yeah.
other guys. Man. I mean, it's one thing. That's why I'm kind of glad I don't have any daughters, because I would probably, I end up snapping the neck of one of these dudes. But I got a granddaughter, so I'm going to still have that same thing in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Serving to debase or defile what is holy. Your daughter is you treat your daughter as this is my daughter. You probably treat her better than your son because it's your daughter. Right? Right? Obscene, vulgar. You don't want to be in situations where there's like, we call it roughnecks. What are you doing with this guy? This guy, you know what I mean? This guy robbing banks. Get that. You don't want that type of thing with your daughter. All right? Not being among the initiated. Now, that's a key thing. You got a lot of cults. You got a lot of, how we was dealing with that other guy, Freemasonry and all that stuff. You don't want your daughter to be
Yeah.
involved with that kind of stuff. Huh? So you ain't going to approve. How they said in the modern weddings, do anyone disapprove of this wedding? Please stand up. You probably put your hand up real quick. Yeah, I disapprove it. Yeah.
Yeah. With the quickness.
Mm-hmm. Right. Not possessing esoteric or expert knowledge. Yeah, you don't want no dummy. you don't want what's called a son dummy-in-law. Yeah, he ain't gonna have no job later. Type of character. So that all plays a role when it comes down to it. And that's why when you go back to that verse, that verse was key. That's one thing, is like a scripture lock too. Do not profane your daughter by making her a harlot. And that's exactly those ways, those paths can make her be into a harlot. You know what I mean? Think about it. The guy ain't worth 2 cents. Now she got 6 kids from this guy. She got to damn near do what to feed them kids? And this clown is sitting on the couch every day doing what?
Nothing.
Doing nothing. All right? Doing nothing. All right? And like I said, so the land will not fall to harlotry, and the land become of lewdness. Lewdness. Let me see if I got lewdness up here too. I should have it. Oh, I do. Definition of lewd. Obscene and vulgar. We just talked about that. Sexually unchaste or licentious, or weird behavior. How would we say that? I say, well, she's kind of nymphomaniac-ish, or just in all kind of funny acts, because this dude over here, he ain't worth 2 cents. All right, and obsolete, evil, wicked. Let me go to a couple of synonyms here. Bawdy, blue, coarse, crude, dirty, filthy. Yeah, think about it. That dude filthy as hell. You gonna let your daughter marry that sucker? All right. Gross, gutter, impure, indecent, lascivious, locker room. I don't know what that would mean. Nasty, obscene, pornographic. You don't want your daughter to be porn. All right. Porny.
Yeah.
Profane, raunchy, ribald, smutty, stag, trashy, unprintable, vulgar, wanton. That wanton is like looking at all different guys. It's my daughter. What the heck? The word on the street, man. You thought that, man, she rolling around with everybody. You know what I mean? It doesn't make you look good as a parent. X-rated, obviously.
Oh, that brings. Yeah, that brings shame to your name.
Shame to your name, right? Good things, like the antonyms, good things. You want to be clean, decent, G-rated, non-obscene, wholesome, pure. I mean, what better to want your daughter to be? That's why at the time when she's little, what are you doing? You're protecting her, right? You're keeping her away from all that. And that's the same thing when you're turning her over to the next guy, the guy that's going to be her husband. Same thing. You want to make sure that he has it. Like you pull him on the side. Say, look, I know I'm a little bit up in age, but you're taking my daughter. But let me tell you something, brother. don't think that I don't still know how to load my shotgun. You know what I mean? So you better make sure you keep her right. I mean, it's a little extra, but you're looking out for your daughter's interest. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right?
Yes, sir.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, we was talking about Jeremiah, right? You had started reading from chapter 3. We might as well finish the rest of this out. We got a little bit of time. We could probably do the second half tomorrow, right? But let's start this off. Jeremiah 3. And you hit some key points when you started out with the second verse. But we're going to do this all the way out. I have to say,
All right.
Jeremiah 3. I have to say, if a man sends away his wife and she goes away from him and marries another man, may he return to her again. Now, you know the law on that, right? You know the law on that, right? Will not the land become defiled? Now, this is at the same time giving us a twist, talk about us as daughters of Zion too, as Israel, children of Israel. You know, we're in the same class with this. You know what I mean? We done went to idolatry. Now we coming back. You know, he's saying we could come back. Obviously, there's a way that we have to do it. Unlike how most of the denominations turn around and say, well, you know, Israel did this and that, blah, blah, blah. They was cast away, blah, blah, blah. Yes, yes, yes. We was. No doubt. But what way we can come back? I mean, beyond the fact that the Most High turned his back, you think he's not going to allow us to come back if we sincerely repent to come back? You know what I mean? But they get that misconstrued, and they use that as a bash moment. Israel got cast away. Well, that's this right here going to tell a different tale. All right. But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return to me, says the Most High. Lift up your eyes upon the rivulets and see, where have you not been lain with? Question mark. That's shaming you, really, right? By the roads you sat for them, right? By the roads you sat for them like an Arab in the desert. You know, I gotta kind of picture that. When they wrote this, what did they say that Arab is like? You know what I mean? It's got a code. By the roads you sat for them like an Arab in the desert, and you defiled the land with your harlotries and with your evil. Well, I guess most of the Arabs are kind of like that. We got to really check that out. That's telling us something there, you know. Hidden gem, right? And the rains were withheld, and there has been no latter rain. And you had a harlot's forehead. You refused to be ashamed. You know, like you said earlier, like most time maybe get to that point, they don't even have no shame to it. You know, like a prostitute on the street don't have no shame, right?
Whatsoever.
She just got finished doing this guy like less than 20 minutes ago, right? Got paid, you know how what they saying? They say money is time, time is money. And she read back out there. No shame. Probably ain't washed nothing. But, you know what I mean? Right out there. So it's about getting that money. You know, you had a harlot's forehead. You refused to be ashamed. Same way how the nation is. You know, they run to this different nation of people. They run to that nation of people. They ain't even ashamed. Not even ashamed. And I'm going to tell you like this. If you, as a man, and you run into a woman that's like that, and she's like one of those ones when you say, what is your beliefs? What is your thing? And she's like, I don't believe in none of this. I'm going to tell you from the door. Run your ass away. Far away from her. Because guess what? She don't have no morals whatsoever. No, even if she was a Christian, you know what I mean? I would say give her a chance. But when they like atheists, run your ass away. You know what I mean? Because I've seen it. An atheist woman is the worst. You know what I mean? And court system wise, they the worst. Anything wise, they the worst. And you notice a lot of these, I hate to say it, most of the Caucasian wives, the rich wives like that, you see them the husband about 95 years old and they 23. Are you kidding me? And they actually, I guess, they don't, we know they don't damn near care about that dude, but they put on such an act to him, like, and they actually sleep with these 90-year-old dudes without even second guessing it. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and even go as far as get pregnant by them too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's crazy. But I would say the same thing for a man too. A man has an 85-year-old wife. Obviously, he has to have some type of intention. Were you trying to inherit something from her or something like that? But these guys will sit there and do that. Obviously, that's a sick world. Sick world. Sick world. But the key word, now they have they don't even feel ashamed about it. No shame said it at all. All right. Verse 4, will you not from this time call me my father, you the master of my youth? Go back to what we was talking about from the daughter and the father thing, how you raised.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That love is still there. The nurture from the father is still there. Sometimes it's a bond that don't go away. All right? You're going to always be the father. So you're going to always be the go-to person if she has problems, which is the key. Be a good father, right, to your daughter. That way, that dude that she married, he won't sleep on no couches too much.
And verse 4 is basically basically saying if they only repent from their evil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They only repent. They only repent. Will he bear a grudge forever? You as a father, you as a dad, you ain't gonna hold that against your daughter, right? What's Most High does the same thing. He does the same thing, right? That's why that question mark is there. I guess a lot of the other denominations, they miss question marks. They don't understand question marks. Question marks is what you call thinking cap mode. Think about it, right? Think about it. And this is from the Tanakh version. So I can imagine if we were reading the KJV, it probably have different words in there, but they do keep up with the question marks. Will he keep it to eternity? No. No. Will he bear a grudge forever? No. Will he keep it to eternity? No. That's automatically no. We know the answer. No. 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 We can actually put a quiz out. Will the Most High hold this thing against us forever? No. No. He will not. Behold, you have spoken and you have committed evil things, and you were able. You were able, meaning you made your choice. All right. And the Lord said to me in the days of King. Go ahead.
Oh, like what I'm saying, when it says you have committed evil things and you were able, basically saying that, like, what I'm saying, they prevail in rebelling.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They prevailed in rebelling.
Got over how I got over. Now your ass ain't over no more. Right? Yeah, they prevail at they deal what they were up to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, where was that? 6. And the Lord said to me in the days of King Josiah. I like those things. We got to kind of like put that in 3D mode. Whenever we see those key things that are called a timeline lock or something that we can go back and look at a backstory, that's just pointing to it, right? You don't have to say, well, I got a precept, because you know where we can go, right? And the Lord said to me, in the days of King Josiah, have you seen what the backsliding Israel has done? Question mark. That's like, we get out those backstories, and we see if that is what the answer is found. Where? In the backstories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But here he gives it an answer. This is key. She goes on every lofty mountain and under every leafy tree, and she played the harlot there. We have played the harlot. That's in our system. But you said the key word. We can always, and not saying it to use it as a crutch, but return, Return, return.
Yeah, and we know playing the harlot, that's just referring to idolatry.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Idolatry. Yep. Now I said something I think on one of these posts about doing that, which is yeah, you could do that in return, but no man knows when the Most High is saying this is it, right? You don't know if you're gonna wake up tomorrow. You can't play that close. You know what I mean? So it would behoove someone to like wake up, get out of that spell, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. All right. What else left? If you want to read, probably seven. Start from the seven. Read it.
And I said, after she had done all these things, she shall return to me, but she did not return. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it,
That's
and
crazy.
I saw,
Hmm.
because of all that backsliding Israel had committed adultery. I sent her away, and I gave her a bill of divorce. Yet treacherous Judah, her sister, did not fear, and she too went and played the harlot.
Now, stop for a second. Stop for a second. You remember back when we were reading that first part up top about what the harlot does if you don't get that harlotness or you don't let that harlot be in the situation, it's gonna spread throughout you know, the neighborhood basically, and it's gonna defile.
Yeah, throughout the whole land.
Hmm. Think about Judah. Judah sitting up saying his sister's doing it. Well, guess what? He's gonna do the same thing. She's gonna do the same thing, basically. But that's why you gotta nip it in the bud early.
And it was through the likeness of her harlotry
Hmm.
that she polluted the land, and she committed adultery with the stones and the wood.
We know what that is. That's another precept, and guess what? It's still modern to today, right? Huh?
That's up in Deuteronomy where he said he would cause us to worship wood and
And
stone.
I wonder what that is. We know, we know, we know.
But you know what I'm saying, we have these New Testament believers that like I tell them over and over. I was like, the main commandment that Israel did not keep was the first two, because they went into idolatry. Every
Hmm.
time that we see
Every time.
Israel go into exile, why they went into exile? Because of idolatry. And they'll say, "Oh, it was more than our idolatry." Yeah, like yeah. It was more than idolatry, but they started breaking the other commandments once they committed idolatry, because
Yeah.
since they ain't keep the first two commandments, which caused them to break all the commandments.
Which is the key here. You know that is the key. That's why when we as Jah only, we continually to push that, because guess what? That opens up all the other paths. You know what I mean? And they'll turn around and say, "Well, no, ain't nothing wrong. I don't see nothing wrong." Well, guess what? There's a lot wrong with it. It's promoting the worst thing you could promote. You are
Yeah,
driving the Most High into his jealous
and
mode.
check this. I'm finna say this, and for any New Testament believer that's watching this video, I need y'all to understand that these scriptures that we're reading about idolatry
Hmm.
and Israel playing the harlot, right? Y'all sound real dumb saying, "Oh, that's y'all Old Testament believers." How?
Yep. Yep.
How, 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 how? Because we see that, guess what? They went into idolatry, and we're against idolatry.
Exactly.
They failed to keep the first two commandments, which led them to break all the commandments.
Break all of them.
So if we telling people to keep the first two commandments, because you know if they keep the first two commandments, they're gonna keep all the rest of the commandments.
Right. Right. Faithful
Because
to
the
the Most
first
High.
two commandments are the most important commandments. Are
Mm-hmm.
the most important commandments. But they will turn around and say, "Oh, that's y'all OT. That's y'all Torah to non-believers. See, it's talking about y'all. How? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have a brain of a third grader.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a brain of a third grader. An infant to say something so foolish when the scriptures is clear that they went into idolatry, worshiping other gods. But yet y'all would turn around and say, "Oh, that's y'all." When we the ones selling people to turn to the creator, turn to the most high. How? Make it make sense.
Yep. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. And when you get a chance, please clip this part of the video for its own little separate video as a message to all New Testament believers that say this,
Well done.
because this right here is for the stop. It's for the stop because you can't, just because we don't believe the New Testament, that doesn't mean that you could go read the Old Testament and say, "Oh, that's y'all." How? And we telling people to keep Torah, to keep the commandments,
Keep
something
it.
that our forefathers failed to do.
Yep. And their forefathers as well.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, a lot of them, they talking about, "Oh, well, I don't claim to be an Israelite or whatever or a Hebrew." And my thing is, what you doing trying to tell me something about my forefathers? Who is you to try to compare me to my forefathers when y'all don't even promote Torah? A lot of y'all don't even promote Torah because at the end of the day, if they was truly keeping the commandments, they wouldn't even be dealing with the New Testament. They'll be dealing with the commandments only.
Yep.
But they want to say that we so powerful. No, y'all the powerful ones because y'all don't want to return to the Most High,
We gotta
like He
return.
been telling us.
Yep. Gotta return.
And and another thing I need to get off, like, you know what I'm saying, I need to get off my chest real quick, is that when we post the scriptures, like when we post scriptures like this, they'll say, "Oh, that's already fulfilled," and they'll go inside the same book and post the scriptures and be like, "See, this, then the third, like it haven't happened." So, all right. Why is when you post the scripture, it hasn't happened, but when I post it and I bring my point, "Oh, that happened already." No, that's a bunch of BS.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Bash move,
A
really.
bunch of BS. And and man, and they ain't, man, and I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna let this be clear. All the New Testament believers are harlots, whores.
Horrors.
They ain't nothing but a bunch of hoes.
Yep.
They ain't
Exactly.
nothing but a bunch of hoes. Because if they was truly called by the Most High, you'll be telling people to keep the commandments. But since they don't promote Torah, they're a
But they
bunch of
don't.
hoes,
Bunch of hoes.
bunch of whores.